Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I'm Beth O'Connor, and I'm a technology trainer at MLS and LIBOR, and I'm really glad you've joined us today. We're going to go over Stratus, some basics. Let me just say that I am recording this, so you'll have a chance to go back and look. I'm going to go quickly through a lot of it. I want to show you as much as I possibly can in this 1 hour. I know not all of you have the ability maybe to come to a class. So we want to make use of this hour, and then you'll be able to go back and rewatch it when you want. I'll show you where that is at the end of the session. So I am recording. If you have questions, just type them into the questions box on the side. A few people are saying they don't have audio, so I'm guessing that you're not going to hear what I'm about to say, but you need to check the audio section over on your panel there and choose either computer or phone call. Let me just send everybody that message if they can hear. Okay, let's try. So hopefully now most of you have found that audio section and you can hear me, and you should be able to see my screen. My PowerPoint slide that's up, Stratus Tips and Tricks for New Agents is what we're calling this. Before we begin, I'm going to start a poll. I want to know what your challenges are. So let me just choose this one poll. I'm going to put it up in front of you, and you tell me what your biggest challenges are: finding for sale listings, finding expireds and sold listings, finding comps to create a CMA, using the maps, or maybe add edit of listings. I probably should have put other, but I wouldn't know what your other is. So just tell me if one of those items is something that you are having any difficulty with. So let's see. I don't see any. Are you, perhaps you're not. Oh, here we go. Okay, so you're able to pick the answer. I'm sorry, I may have done that wrong. Oh, wow. Seems more people are saying they're having trouble with finding listings. Okay, and comps as well seems to be the answer. Comps and for sale listings. All right, we'll make sure we cover those things carefully. I'm going to close the poll now. Let me make sure that you can see my screen. Okay, good. All right, so from here, I'm going to go over to, we'll talk a little bit about that later on, I promise. From here, we're going to go to Stratus, which I have open here. Now, I don't know if all of you go to Stratus this way, but I do recommend that you go to lirealtor.com and use that as your shortcut to Stratus, to log into Stratus, because there's very important information that's going to show on the LIBOR page. Let me just get that webcam out of the way. Okay, so so if you just shortcut this, lirealtor.com, you could just drag it down to your toolbar here, and then you'll have a little shortcut so that you can get into Stratus. And also in your member area, you can check what classes you've taken. When it comes time in the fall to pay your dues, everything can be done here, and all kinds of great information and resources is on LI Realtor under this member area. So I hope you'll check that out. But I'm going to use it to log into Stratus now. And you probably noticed now our MLS has changed names. It's now called One Key MLS. It will be going live, the new MLS, on March 24th. Nothing will change in terms of how you get into Stratus and how you use it. You're still going to use the same login, You're going to use the same shortcuts you use now. Everything stays the same when the new MLS goes into effect. You're probably hearing all kinds of crazy rumors from other agents in your office, but this stays the same. There will be some changes in the rules and a little bit of the terminology. If I can mention some of them, I will, but we will get you plenty of information about the new MLS. There's nothing to worry about right now. Right now, you can just focus on getting in and out of Stratus when you need to. Let's see. All righty, still somebody having trouble with the audio. I can't stop. All righty, so let's just cover some really what I think are the key things you need to be aware of here and what you need to be doing when you get on Stratus. One of the most important is your hot sheet here. We call this today's listings. Other MLSs around the country call it a hot sheet. And I like hot sheet because it really tells you that this is going to be the important information that you need to know. In my case, for example, it's telling me that in my area, 3 Village, in the residential status, there are 3 new listings and 14 new updates. Now, when I leave it at today, that's going to give me everything that happened after midnight. So if an agent put a listing on at 3 a.m. or 10 a.m. or whatever, I'll see it. And if they made a change to a listing, I'll see it. But I don't know how many of you are on your computer between 10 and 12 at night. So I always like to change this. I like to go at least a day or two back. Even if I'm seeing the same thing twice, I feel better knowing that I haven't missed anything, because you need to know what the listings are in your market. So I'm going to show you how this works, and then I'll show you how to set it up. So I'm going to go to 3 days back, and you saw my numbers jump there. So 11 new listings. I'm going to click on that. One thing that you'll start to realize is that even though it's called a new listing, it may have been on and off the market many times over the course of a period of time, but it's got a new ML number, which can be kind of frustrating sometimes, but that's just kind of the way it works. It might be listed with a new agent, or it may have expired and the sellers decided to relist it. It could be any number of things. So these would be your new listings. So I'm going to go back to the info center, and I'm going to change that again to 3 days, and we're going to look at these updates, 48 updates. Now, the key information you need is under this column right here where it says LSC, last status change. Now, before we do anything else, in your GoToWebinar panel, I've attached those abbreviations. It's under something called handouts. So take a moment now. It says last status change and listing abbreviations. Click on it now. It'll download the file to your computer, and then you'll have it after class. If you don't get it, you can email me. I'll also post it with the recording. I'll make sure everybody can get access to that document, but it's under the handouts. It's last status change and listing abbreviations, because that seems to be a stumbling block with new agents. They're not just, oh, good. I'm glad you're with us, Christine. Okay. So you will get used to it. Now, one thing I will tell you is happening in the new MLS is UC, which is under contract. That's going to be changed to pending. The word that's commonly used around the country for a listing that has a contract on it but hasn't yet sold is called pending. We've always called it under contract, but with the new MLS, they're going to change that to pending. I'm not sure if it's going to have a PE or if it's going to stay as UC. I have to say, I don't know. But what I like to do when I'm checking this out is I click on LSC. I'm just clicking right on the header, and I want to sort by the LSC. So do you see how it put closed together, extended, new, and then when I scroll, keep scrolling down, there's all the price changes and under contracts. Because what I really want to focus in on is what has sold, right? So this one on Flax Pond Woods Road sold Monday, okay? Sold on Monday, and it's really important for you to know what the selling price is so you can start to know your market and see what's happening with listings. Same, I like to look under the price changes and see what the price price has dropped to. If you see the red arrow on a price change, that means that price change was within the last 2 weeks. Here's one that went up. Maybe it was a typo or something like that, but it went up in price. Interesting. And then these last 3 actually went under contract. Now, I don't know what they're going to sell for, but it's really good for me to know these are now off the market. If I have somebody who asks about it, I can say, gee, they have a contract, but let me see if they're still showing the property. Okay. So you want to ask the agent about the status there. Okay. So that's how we did that. Let me just show you now how to set it up. So if you've never done it before, you're going to see a link to create your market areas right in here. But if you have done it and you need to adjust it, it's all done under settings. On the main menu, I'm going to go over to settings, and I want to go over to market areas. Okay, that's where I put a label. I'm calling this 3V residential. You can put whatever you want there. You can put your name, you can put a client's name, you can put whatever you want. Choose the class you want and the towns. Now, the way to pick multiple towns is to click on this link right here and then just go through the list. But if you did a lot of towns and you think you might need that group of towns again, save that group of towns and they'll be right here under your saved lists, and you won't have to do that ever again. So that's a real time saver, to just choose all the towns you need, click save, and put the saved list. It will appear then up here so you can choose the towns you want. All right. So you can have up to 6 groupings, market areas. I'm only using 2 of them. I don't know why this says Wantagh in here. It should, I cleared out one, and I guess that I should have gotten rid of it. You can't delete a blank one, it looks like. So you're going to take your time and set this up. Whatever works for you. You can come back anytime you want and change it, but what areas do you want to get notification on and what types of properties? That's all this is. All right, you're going to hit save. And I always like to go back to the info center and just make sure that it shows properly. I like the way it looks. And when I click on it, it's actually the correct towns that I was asking for, right? If you're seeing something in Nassau County here, then you're going to need to go back to your settings and clean that up. Now, just back to settings real quick, one more thing, your agent photo should be uploaded here, okay? When you upload your agent photo here, it automatically triggers the order for your lockbox card. Our MLS Long Island uses SentryLock, and you must have an ID card to get into a house, a property that has a lockbox. So as soon as you upload your photo here, you're going to get that card. I think it comes within 2 weeks, and I also believe it's sent to your office. So if you've been a member a while with a photo and you haven't gotten it, just call the office manager and just see if they have it. They may have your card in the office. Okay, you can spend time on all these other settings when you have time. Really important to set up your signatures and things like that. Okay, probably the most important things here are your agent photo, your market areas, and your signatures under send. Okay, so let's go back to the info center. And again, if you joined us late, I'm recording this. I'll post it to the Stratus Support Center, which I'm going to tell you about at the end. And also the handout is in your go to webinar panel on the right side. I forgot what it was called for a minute. And you can just click on that and it'll download right away to your computer so you can print it. But if you don't, you can email me after this, and I'll bring up my email address again at the end. Okay, and questions, just type them into that questions box, and here we go. All right, so with searching, I want to just first show you, if you're just doing a very quick search, you want town and maybe you want a price, I would use this quick search panel right here. It's got a lot of stuff that it can do, but one cool thing is if you've saved searches, they're right here. So for example, I have one saved, Babylon 350 to 500,000. So I just click on that and it just auto fills what I had set up there. Okay. Save is this option down here. So whatever you do in this box, if you want to keep it and have it show in this list, you can click on the save. It not only shows there, but it shows on your other searches as well. So I'm going to clear that, go back to the original, and let's search for, let's go to Levittown. So watch what happens. I just type LEV and I stop. Just stop typing. You don't need to type any more than that if it shows up, but you do need to click on this with your mouse in order to put it in the box. Okay. Let's also do maybe East Meadow. I do East M and that brings it up, right? Just type the first couple of letters. If you have a bunch of towns, you click on the wheel and that's how you can select a bunch of towns. And notice we're in, I didn't start at the top. We're listings and we are residential and available. Unavailable would be you're sold, under contract, anything that's been taken off the market, anything that's expired. Okay, we will talk about that. And maybe you want, I have a countdown here at the bottom of 180. So probably should put a price in. Let's say we've got a buyer that wants to see if there's anything under 400. So we're down to 11 properties. Okay, not that many, just unbelievable. So I'm going to go ahead and just submit that search. Click on submit and it brings you to what we call the list view. This icon up here at the top looks like it's got, it's like an Excel spreadsheet and it says the word list underneath. It's kind of darker gray. That tells me where I am right now. And I can use all these icons and keep these same 11 listings. Watch, if I want to put them on the map, I click map, puts them on the map. If I want to see them in the larger views, like broker full, I click on that. I can go back to that list view, click on list. You can do all kinds of things. One of my favorites is the photos. You see this here, photos? You click on that and you can see a nice clear image of the front of the house, or at least the first picture that the agent put on. And by the way, most agents don't realize this doesn't have to be the first picture. If there's a better feature of the house, like maybe the kitchen or the backyard or something like that, you can put that picture as the first one. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but a lot of agents don't realize that. So if your house has a lot of mold on it, like that one appears to, just maybe move that picture to one of a little bit further down. Okay, and you can actually go through them even larger now that we have these high resolution photos. You can see all the imperfections, nice and big. That's so cute. Looks like a country house. Look how cute. Okay, so you could go through them that way and then just return to the photos. You can check off a few if you're interested. Maybe you're interested in these 4. So I'm going to close the photos and notice that those 4 have been selected because I clicked on their little check boxes. So I can then get rid of the other 7, and by clicking on this icon here, narrow. It only appears when you have a few of them selected. So I click narrow and I've just got those 4. Now I think, oh gosh, there was one I really, really wanted. I forgot to check it. Click on expand and they come back, right? And you can easily select them all with that checkbox at the top, or you can deselect them all with the same box at the top of the list. The star next to each line is favorites. You can throw your listings into a folder called favorite listings. I wouldn't use this for a client. I would use this if there was a property that I just kind of want to keep an eye on. Maybe I just think that this is going to sell. Maybe in my head I'm thinking that's not going to sell for $3.99. I really want to kind of monitor that, so I would just put it in my favorites there, and then when I want, I can just go see what happened with it. But you also have something called listing carts, and that's what you're going to use for your buyers and your CMAs, for your sellers, right? You're going to set up different carts, listing carts, to hold on to a group of listings. So let's say I have, I'm going to take the buyer out to see those 4 properties. So again, we can select 4. These probably aren't the same ones. I can narrow them. And then I come up here to carts. I can just create a cart. I'm going to go to create new. And let's say the family that we're going to bring this to is called the Jones. And we're going to show these on Saturday, March 7. And it's going to throw those four into, once I select it, it's going to throw those 3 into the cart. And then if I go over to listing carts later on, those 4 listings under the Jones cart will be there. So you want to make use of these listing carts. They really are very, very handy. Okay, I'm going to check for questions, see if I've thrown you off on anything. If you jumped in late, a few of you got in late, I did hit record at the very beginning, and so you'll be able to go back and pick up what you missed. No worries there. And I want to return to the info center now, and I want to show you a little bit more advanced searching. Like I said, this one is great when you're kind of in a big hurry and you don't need a lot of the fields, but the main searching option is over here on the left side on your menu under search. Do you see that? Search. And there you have all these different options. You have what they call the new search. They have something called map search, which I'm going to show you. Saved searches. Remember I talked about saving searches? I think the one we did was that Babylon 350 to 500K. Prospect searches, that's if you want to set up an automatic email for someone so that they'll find out about new listings. Predefined searches, kind of just some quick, if you just want to see your expired listings, that's kind of an easy way to do it. You can always do this in your regular new search and map search as well, but it's just kind of a little shortcut. And then your MLS number search, if you have multiple listing ID numbers, you can type them here. You also have a single ML number search up here at the top right of your screen. Let me just make this smaller in case it's right up here at the top next to the light bulb. So if you have one ML number and you want to find it, just type it in there and it'll pop it up automatically. Okay. While we have the light bulb in front of us, this is where all the recordings go, all the tutorials that we've recorded, myself and our other trainers have recorded, and lots of help for you here in the support center. So I suggest that you go in and check out our training guides and videos. We're always adding new things. Also, if you, from that main page, if you click on webinars, that's where you're going to find today's recording. It'll be on the top of this list here. Okay, and you can see I did one February and January. Those are also posted. With me, you never know what you might get a little bit of different tidbit in a different one, so you can go back and look at some of those other ones. And then we have more webinars. We'll do this one every month for sure, the new agent, and you can attend as many as you like. All right, so again, the way I got there was from Stratus. Any page on Stratus, you click on the yellow light bulb for the support center. Okay, that's where you're going to find lots. I hope some of you have visited it already and found it to be helpful. So what we want to do here is first I'm going to execute a new search. All right, I'm going to do residential. Actually, let's do condos for this one. We're going to do condos, and I'm going to do both available and unavailable. Okay, now you're always going to leave public and private. Some offices, not that many, but some offices store their private listings in this system. Even though no one else sees them, you would see them if you work for that same company. Okay, so just always leave that. And the archive is if you want to go back into the 80s to look at unavailable properties. Okay, sold old ones. But without it, you're going to get 3 years worth of solds from this link right here. Okay, so I'm going to click continue. And again, you can put in your towns one by one, or you can select the multiple towns. I like to use my little saved lists. Let's do the Huntington area for this one. I click use and continue. And you see, it puts all the Huntington towns in. So I don't have to type a lot here. Now, I like this template because it's got pretty much everything people use for their searches. It's not everything on a listing, but it's got a lot of it. And This is actually going to change a little bit too with our MLS, but here's one thing I want to make sure you understand. Once you put your towns in, ignore the rest of this. There's absolutely no reason to put a zip in. A zone is a region of either Nassau, Suffolk, or Queens that MLS has. And then these are your counties: Brooklyn, Nassau, other, Queens, and Suffolk. Okay, pretty soon you're going to see all the counties from Hudson Gateway. You're going to see Westchester, Putnam, Orange, Rockland. There's one more, I just always forget it, but you're going to have a lot. But you'll have a lot of listing. Watch what happens if I choose S for Suffolk here. Watch my number. I have 200. I choose S for Suffolk, and it just completely ignores my towns when I do that. Okay, this overrides the town. So just, I clicked on the blank one to get back to my 200. Just put in a little bit that you need, and don't fill this whole thing in. Just put one or two things, and then you can filter out the list once you get to it. Okay. So let's say we have a buyer who's looking, let's say they're looking for, we're in condos, right? Yes, I can double check that right up here, condo co-op, available and unavailable, right? So let's say we really are only wanting to focus on the condos. We don't want to look at anything else. So we're down to 53. And we want to see what's going on with the condos that have a master bedroom on the first floor. You see that? So I'm going to check that here and see if there's anything. There's 13. Okay. Now, one thing I really want to point out is you're going to see, let me just zoom in close. So do you see this little checkbox right here, type of ownership, and I check this? When I check this, it activates the word not. So what I did by checking is just say, I don't want condo, but I do want condo, so I'm not going to use that checkbox. But these don't have the word not over here. So if I do want it, I just check. Just pay attention to whether or not the word not is there. If it is there, don't use this. You probably don't need it at all. Okay, let me zoom back out. If you're having trouble anywhere on the internet looking at a screen, if the font is too small, you just put your finger on the control key on your keyboard and you use the plus sign to get closer, and you use the minus sign. And if you do what happens in some of my classes, this is always funny, then you need to clean it up quick and you just do Control 0 and it cleans the whole thing up. It goes back to normal. Okay. So we've got our 13 properties. Now, one thing you can do is you can add a field at the bottom here. So for example, maybe you wanted to know if any of them were in an adult, although adult community, I'm sorry, is right there. How about a cul-de-sac? Want to know if any of these are on like a dead end street. So I'm going to choose, oh, I'm sorry, that's not a field. I was thinking residential. All right, so maybe they only want gas. So you'd say fuel and you just say gas and then you watch your number and there's only 4 of them. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate that. But any field you don't see here that you might want is going to be under other fields. Okay, so I'm going to submit that. And when we look at that LSC, you're going to see these are all unavailable. There's nothing on the market right now. They're closed or withdrawn, released, or under contract. That's all I got. Okay, there was nothing on the market right now that matched our criteria, but I can put them on the map. I can click on the globe and gee, I'm wondering why I got something in. This is mapped improperly, and that is the listing agent's responsibility to make sure that when they put the listing in, that you make sure the circle is in the correct spot on the map, and that one was not. But the rest look pretty good, and you can just sort of zoom in to see. There's a couple of things going on here. It might have been all the same house, just a really houses that are really close together. Look at all that. Oh, this is a whole condo community there. Okay, so you zoom in and out. You can move your map left and right. If you want to draw, you can. The legend is here to tell you what the colors mean. So green is expire under contract, and these all sold within the last 3 years. Now, if I just want to see what's sold in the last, say, 6 months, I would open up my criteria panel on the side here using this little circle. And instead of starting all over again, what I want to do is just look at the title date. And I think because I asked for available and unavailable, it's not going to give me title date. So that's not going to help me much. But I'd have to sort them here by title date here. And then I could see the most recent ones are at the bottom here. Okay. That wasn't the best example for that. Sorry about that. But what I really want to focus on for you is knowing that you can look at listings in so many different formats once you've done the search and not worry about it. So let's do a quick search now for just sold listings all by themselves, because that was one of your challenges you said. So we're going to go back to our main search menu. But this time, I'm going to do it as if I'm looking for comps for a CMA. So you've had maybe a seller called you and said, we're thinking about selling our house. What do you think we could get for it? And you say, let me prepare some research and I will stop by and do a preview of your home and we'll come up with a good listing price to sell it quickly and for the best price. All right. So we're going to select unavailable. But I'm going to go to the map search this time. I got to take available off, right? Residential, unavailable. And when you come to the map search, there's all kinds of things you can save here. So that's why my list, these are some things that I use frequently here. But for this purposes, you can just ignore it and click continue to just open up the map. Now the map is always going to open to the region where you work. Okay, so I'm out in the Three Village area. So what I would do is come up here to locations. Do you see the push pin in the action bar? Because I'm going to put in a specific address. I'm going to put in a property in Levittown. I'm going to do 60 Shelter Lane. Probably don't have to put the zip. And then I click find right next to it. And it puts a push pin right on that address. You see that? So I'm going to get nice and close. Now you see it says it's searching for me, and then what it tells me is that I need to narrow my criteria or zoom in. There's just too many. And there's a couple things I can do. I can get closer and you'll see them start to load. The other thing you can do is on this panel on the side, what I was trying to show you before was put in a title date. So I want to go back when I click title date. Let's see what's sold in the last 6 months. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll just go back to September 1st. You see that? So it's a lot fewer. These are the properties that have sold since September 1st. Nearby, but I don't really want these ones over on the left side of Wantagh Parkway. That's too far away. I don't even think that's Levittown. So what I want to do is probably draw a shape. So I get my map exactly as I wanted, and I'm going to draw a shape that goes from Gardner's Avenue to Wantagh Parkway to Hempstead Turnpike. Okay, I just want these properties. So I'm going to come over here to the right side, my mapping tools. And I'm going to start drawing the dots. Remember when we were kids and we did dot to dot and then we would draw the lines in between? Well, you're creating the dots. You're the creator. And then you must finish it where you started. And you can get really specific. So I have to end it here where I began. And when I let go, I can see it's isolated just what's inside that shape. Okay, and maybe I want to save that shape. I could come up here to the top and I could say, I'm going to say comps for 60 Shelter. All right. And then you would probably put in a few more details. You could probably isolate bedrooms and baths. Maybe your comp has 3 bedrooms, so we'll do 3 to 3 bedrooms. And it has 2 full baths, so we want to make sure we're comparing it to only properties with 2 full baths. And there they are, these 3. And like I said, you could create carts for buyers, you can create carts for sellers and your CMAs as well. So if I decide that this is a good comp, and I'm not going to spend as much time here as you'll spend an hour looking at listings and deciding, is it a good comp for your CMA? We don't have that time here, so I'm going to pretend that it is a good comp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and click on cart for each one that I want to use in my CMA. And I've already got a cart called 60 Shelter, CMA 60 Shelter. But if you didn't, you create the new one there. Okay, so I'm going to put that one in. And then I'm going to maybe also put this one in that cart. And then I'll show you in a little bit when you get to the CMA. That's a nice picture, isn't it? Okay, and we're putting that in our cart. So that really saves time when you go to finally do your CMA. And I do a webinar. I did one. It's posted in the recordings. I'll do it again next month on how to get better at CMAs. And the key thing is for you to practice doing CMAs. Take a listing, even if it's not yours, and put together an entire CMA for it, and then take a guess what you think it's going to sell for, and then watch it and see what does it sell for, and were you close or were you off? You may find that you're often overpricing properties, and maybe you need to learn to be more realistic. You can talk to other agents and say, where do you think I went wrong on this one? What was it about that house that made it sell so much less than what they were asking? I mean, I think the fact that you can see so many photos now really helps you. Even if you haven't toured the house, you can kind of guesstimate what it will sell for. But that's why it's great for you to go on those tours, so that you can really have a good knowledge of each property in your area. Okay, so if we wanted to start our CMA, we would just come over here to the main menu and we would click on CMA. And you can see I already started one. If you were starting a brand new one, you would click on the green plus sign at the top here. But I'm going to just show you one that I already have in progress. So I'll click on edit. And it's really longer than it needs to be. Don't waste too much time with this, but you do need to put in 4 things. You need a first name. So let's say it's Jane, and we'll call her Jane Levittown. You need to put in the source. Let's say it was a referral, and a group, she's a seller. She can also be a buyer if you want. I don't know why they made that requirement. So then I scroll down and I'm going to put in the details about the house. You're going to, check this little box. And then you can fill in everything you know about the house so far, right? If it was ever on MLS before, you can take the old ML number and plop it in there, or you can maybe find it on public records, but I don't know how much of this will fill if you do that. You can put in a photo, right? You upload the photo here of the house to show on your cover. Your agent, just go one by one through these segments, the cover page, right? Once we add a picture, let me show you how to add the picture. We'll just go to upload, browse. I have a bunch of pictures. You could put as many as you want in, but for this one, we're just going to put the front of the house for the CMA. And then when you come down here to the cover, it shows right there on the cover, which is nice. And you have a letter. I adjusted the letter and saved it as my default, so that I just think this is something easier to read than a long paragraph. People don't want to read your long paragraphs anymore, or my long paragraphs anymore. So just make a nice letter. Some of you work for companies that have given you a form letter that you're going to use for your CMAs. And then this is the section where we're going to find comps, but we already put some in a listing cart, remember? So I'm going to click on add from listing cart. And there it is, 60 Shelter, add to CMA, and there they are. I have a whole bunch of solds and I have one under contract. So Don't put too many in. You only really want to put maybe 3 or 4 sold, maybe 1 or 2 under contract, 1 or 2 available listings, and if you want to use an expired, you can. I'll tell you my experience. I sold my house last year, and since I'm not a realtor, I interviewed a couple of realtors that I know for many years, and one of them gave me a CMA that had about 60 listings in it, and I don't know. I didn't know what to do with that. It was just too much. I needed her to tell me which of those properties were just like my house because I hadn't been inside them. So you really want to narrow this down, maybe no more than 10. So I'm actually going to take out a few of these. I'm going to remove. If you have too many, it's easy to remove them. But I do want an available listing. So if you didn't put that in your cart, you could do the search right here for an available listing. So I'm going to just do available. I can leave everything else out and continue. And we're just going to look for Levittown, currently on the market with, let's see, we'll do 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. It's going to be a lot of properties, but we'll use the map to narrow it down. So I've got 23. I want to see those 23. Click on that. Let's put them on the map so we can see how close they are to 60 Shelter. Sometimes you don't know those street names, right? You could see a bunch of them are north of Hempstead Turnpike. So we just want these down here. So let's draw. Enable the map search. Click draw. Oops. It's mad at me. Let's try that again. Sometimes I go too fast. So remember, we just wanted this area. Actually, I really only wanted here. Now, if you get a little mess like this, you can always fix it with the pencil. Click pencil, click shape, drag your little points. Just drag them. Good. Okay. So now I'll turn the pencil off. So now I have some that are really close and I can go through them. Now, because I'm inside of the CMA, I don't need the cart at this point. I don't want to use the cart. I'm just going to select the ones I think would be good. Right? You can look at them. If you want to look at them in a larger view, you click on view here. The broker full is the report that has everything on it. This is not intended for a consumer, right? You don't want them to see all of the broker remarks, the commission, the expiration date, who the listing agent is, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. I thought this was unavailable. Oh, it's co-listed. Okay, it's got two listing agents. All right. So that little checkbox is also at the top of this page, right? You see that? So as I go through them, if I decide I want to use this, I just check its little box there. Okay. And now that I'm done, I'm going to go to the bottom here and add those 3 availables to my comparables. Okay. You definitely don't want to use CMA in your menu because you're going to lose everything you did. Right. So I'm going to click add to comparables down here at the bottom. And now you'll see that I have 3 availables, 3 closed, and 1 under contract. Okay. Which is a pretty good number. If you wanted to put some an expired, generally expireds are good to show the seller what could happen if they overprice the house, that it just will never sell. So you can use that to your advantage if you can find one. Not a lot of expireds in Levittown because that market is pretty hot. So then you just go through, you have this ability to do adjustments one by one. I didn't fill out the information about that list, the subject property. So that's why it's not showing up here, but you have all that. And then when you're ready, you can put in your marketing plan. What are you going to do for this seller on day 1? Well, you're going to put it on MLSLI, you're going to put it on Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, and whatever your company is using, right? You might put the lawn sign up. the first week. The photographer's coming, the videographer's coming. You're going to put it all on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the things you're going to do. You want to list them, lay them out here. Don't assume that the consumer knows what you're going to do. When I sold my house, I wanted to know what's going to happen tomorrow. I didn't even know he was putting the sign up. I hadn't had a chance to tell my neighbors. I felt terrible. They saw the sign and didn't know that we had officially decided to move. So it's nice to spell all that out so everybody knows what's coming. And then any kind of attachments if you want, and then you choose what you want to print with your table of contents here. You can drag and drop things, you can take them out. One key thing, if you choose these various photo galleries, it makes it a huge file and you might not be able to email it to someone. So I generally take these photo galleries off and I just use the consumer medium for my report. Okay, save it, and then let's just do a quick, it's not a completed one, so I'm going to go to print and print preview so we can kind of get an idea of how it's looking so far and if there's any edits, like my little minion there. I don't really know how he got there, but I've gotten attached to him, so I leave him, and I'm not a realtor. I would not leave that there if I was a realtor. Your letter, table of contents, all about their house. It's just a really nice report. Sometimes if you're in a really big hurry, this may be the only page you take with you. Their house lined up with all of these comps that you picked, right? Just these 2 pages, or maybe even just this 1 page. Up to you. But you must practice this. You really must practice your CMAs so that when you do get that call, you're not in a panic that you don't know how to do one. You're going to get comfortable with it by practicing. Do one on your own house first. Pretend you're selling, or do it on your mother's house, or do it on your best friend's house, somebody you know. Set up a CMA for them, okay? And you'll get better as you, each time you do one of these, you're going to get better at choosing the comparable listings and going through this process of how to put everything together in a nice report. Okay, I'm going to check for questions. Anybody have a question about what I've covered so far, which was a lot in a short period of time, but we only have about 10 minutes left. So we covered searching for available, unavailable. We covered the CMA. We covered using your maps, a little bit searching on your maps. I want to show you in about your photos. Once you get a listing, let's just go back to the info center. So when you get a new listing, they fill out all the paperwork. You've got to come back to the office and put it in MLS. So you're going to go to add edit. That's what we call it, adding listings and editing listings, your listings. So you click on that. And you're going to choose, are you adding one? Are you editing one? Did you just save it as a draft? It's not ready yet. Clone a listing. Here's your forms and your showing time settings. Okay. So I'm going to I'm not going to start from scratch. I'm going to bring up a listing that's already in. So I'm going to go to, it's in my favorites. It's a practice listing that we use for demonstration. That's why it has penguins here. Okay. It's not a real house. See, it's only $1. So this is our practice listing, but I wanted to show you a couple of things. I'm going to go to edit, right? If it's your listing, you'll be able to use the pencil to edit it. I'll leave it at the top, edit all the listing details. And I just want to show you, it's a reminder that I have not linked it with a public record, and that's because it's not a real house. Okay. So when you add a new listing, you just fill out, just start at the top, take your time, go through each field. If you see a blue asterisk, that means it's a required field. Okay. Now, some things on here are going to change, but it's not going to get harder. It's just that instead of where you drop down and you see all these options, they're just going to become check boxes, right? Because some properties, you know, you may want to say it's waterfront and It's on the canal, but maybe you can also see the bay from it, so you could check both of those. So that's just going to get a little bit clearer and easier for you to put your listings in. Okay. You need to make sure you check your MLS rules, all the rules about getting your listings on. It has to be, originally it was 48 hours after the seller signs it. It's decreasing to 24 hours. You must get that listing into the system within 24 hours. You cannot hold on to it. Okay. But I wanted to just focus on the photos here. And let me just show you how I would upload. So I would go to Browse, and pretty soon you're going to be able to put up to 36 photos here, but I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14. I don't think it's going to let me take, let's try all of them. Oops, I'm going to hold Shift and take all of them. Let's see how much it lets me. Oh yeah, 20, upload. So you can do it all at once. I already had 2, and that happened to be 18 photos, okay? So first of all, always use these description boxes underneath to describe. You can say lush, green, grass in back, right? And then something else about the backyard here. Now, here's the thing that most agents do not realize. The front of the house does not have to be in position 1 until it sells. All right, so let me go over that. So you're putting the listing in. What you want to do is find the most attractive photo. All right, now in this case, I'm thinking maybe this beautiful backyard picture. People really, that looks huge, doesn't it, for Levittown? So I just dragged it. I dragged it and I dropped it in position number 1. And then this picture has to stay somewhere, but I could move it further down, right? Put the best features of the house. This pretty cool washer dryer. Where's my kitchen? How about this dining area? That's a nice one, right? But when it sells and you come in to put the sold price in, you should delete every picture except the outside of the house. So you would put this one back in position number 1 after it sells. That's a rule. If you break it, you'll get a fine. Okay. So just so you know, use the best picture of the house. You can also edit your photos. So for example, this one here, it was taken portrait style. It should be in landscape. So if you click on the photo and you click on crop, it tells you and shows you the proper dimensions. Maybe I'll come up. Yeah, maybe we want as much water as we can. I click apply. I click save, and you see how now that picture fills up the whole thing. So you could do that for every one of your pictures. You can even, this is duplicated, so let me delete. You select it, and then you come up here to the top and you click delete, right? And if you have a picture that's kind of dark, you can brighten it up a little bit. See how it looks like a light got put on? What is with that door? It doesn't even look like it's attached. I can't even see. Okay, so make sure your pictures are as best looking as they possibly can be. That's really, really such a key thing. And like I said, starting March 24th, if all goes as planned, you will be able to put up to 36 pictures. So you're going to start to think in terms of some of the features of the house in addition to the rooms, right? So for example, this agent took a nice close-up picture of the washer and dryer. So you can do things like if it has some kind of a new faucet, maybe there's a beautiful feature in the backyard, a fountain, something like that. It's nice to be able to put all of those things in there. This one I thought was interesting, the boiler. But you can definitely find 36 things to take photos of. So it doesn't just have to be room pictures. Okay. And then the last thing on this is the mapping tool. So you are responsible, if it's your listing, to make sure that red circle is in the right place. Remember we saw that one listing that was in Huntington, but it was showing up on our map as some place way away from Huntington. So what you want to do is, I like to change to the aerial view and then zoom in as close as possible. Okay, and then you can't drag this, but if you hold control and you click where it's supposed to be, watch how I do it. I'm going to click right here with my finger on control and let go. That moved it. Oh, I didn't want to do that. It moved it to the top of the property. It's not supposed to do that. Okay. So again, it's the directions are here because I know you'll forget what I just said. So it's right here how you move them. If you're using a Mac, you're going to use the Command key. Okay. Alrighty, I'm not going to submit this because I want to leave this test listing as is. And if you have any questions about listings, you're going to type those in as well. Otherwise, I'm going to go back. There's two apps, before we wrap up, there's two apps that I want you to put on your phone. Let me just bring up my PowerPoint. And this was the two things to look for on your phone. So the first one is Stratus Collab. Okay, if you want to do that now, we have a few minutes. Take out your phone, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, it's the same. And this is going to be your Stratus app for the phone. Okay, you're not going to use regular Stratus on your phone. So you're going to go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, and you're going to type in these words, Stratus space collab. You have to have a space, Stratus collab, and search. And then when you do Stratus collab and search, you'll get an advertisement always at the top. That's the one with the blue background. And then the correct app is going to look like this, a blue box with a white C. It says Stratus Collab. You're going to see Get here, and I have Open because I already have it. Now, when you use this app, you use the same ID and password you use for Stratus. Okay, you're going to love this app on your phone for searching for listings. It's just awesome. It's just so much easier to look for things. You may not use even Stratus anymore for regular searching. You're going to like this so much. And it works also on your desktop. And you can get to it right from the Stratus homepage. There's a link to collaborate, I think it says. And you can use it on your tablets and all of that. It's just such a great way for you to find your listings. The other one I want you to put on your phone, let's go back to the store, go to the App Store or your Google Play Store, and you're going to search for RPR Mobile, RPR, oopsie, Mobile. Sorry about that. And if you did not get any of this, just email me. When you get that follow-up email from the webinar, just reply back and I'll get a copy of it, and I can share with you what you need. So RPR is a program that's part of your dues, right? You're paying dues, and this is something that you have access to. It comes from the National Association of Realtors, and it's for you only. Consumers do not have access to RPR. RPR stands for Realtor Property Resource. Okay, and it's a great tool. All 50 states, listings from all 50 states, property data from all 50. So it's like a Zillow, but it's just for realtors. Okay, so it's RPR Mobile, and you'll see Get, and you can just click on. Now, if it asks you to log in, you already have an account, even though you may not know it, and you may not know what your password is. So just click on that forgot password, put in your email, and they'll send you one. Okay, they'll send you a link to reset your password. You already have an RPR Mobile account. Every agent, when they join LIBOR, gets one automatically. So whether you've used it or not, just use forgot password, and you'll be able to access. That's such a cool tool. You can do CMAs right from here. Amazing, amazing. So, you know, the CMA that we saw and we did on Stratus, you could do a CMA also here. But it's a lot easier and a lot simpler, and it's a very impressive report. Very, very impressive. So I want you to practice CMAs on the RPR mobile app, but they have great training as well, so you can watch out for that. So It is 4 o'clock, so let me just check one last time for questions. I'll hang out, but I am finished. Look for the yellow light bulb. That's where I'm going to store this recording after it's done. Oh, let me put that screen up with my email address. If you have questions, go ahead and email me. But I'm not available very often because I'm always on these sessions. So I'm going to give you the customer service information so you'll be able to. So let me go into the chat. And if you need to call customer service, it's 631-661-4800, extension 1. I'm going to send you that through the chat. There are 6 or 7 customer service representatives who know way more than I do, way more, not only about Stratus, but about MLS rules, and they can help you with anything, okay? So you can call them, and if you can't get through, you could always try an email, customerservice@mlsli.com, sending you that through the chat also. Now they don't answer in off hours. They only answer during working hours, which is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Okay, so I don't see questions, so I'm going to log out and let you go. And I hope you found this helpful. Look for the recording. Check out my previous recordings. Join me again next month. I haven't picked the April date yet, but I'm sure I will. And good luck with your Stratus. I'm really happy you're with us, and good luck with everything. So take care now, everybody. Have a great day.